All right. So, lately, of course, we've been doing a lot of super lengthy videos on the big ships, talking about the big ships. But the truth is, most of the time that you get into the PU, if you want to actually go and do missions or do anything, if those missions indeed even work, chances are you're going to be flying one of these. Just the chill zone ship. Now, lately, we've been talking about a few things. One of the things that we were talking about was things that trigger missions, things that like rep or having a certain crime stat or something like that that gives you access to missions that aren't publicly available immediately. Like the mission that we're doing now, right? We're going to retrieve a piece of cargo from the crashed freelancer on Daymar. Yeah, that freelancer, the one that I sometimes use for my videos. I know where this freelancer crash site is, and I often travel there when I need to get a certain piece of footage. But this is that mission. We're going to that location. We're going to retrieve a piece of cargo and then try to deliver it to Levski. Unfortunately, that part of the mission isn't working right now. But this is a publicly available mission, right? And we kind of want to get past these publicly available missions, and we want to start getting to the missions that are gated or locked behind a reputation or an event. Those are the missions that we really want, because those are the missions that are not immediately visible to the entire community. This beacon is publicly available. Anybody who clicks on that mission has this beacon, is probably traveling to this location. And that creates a problem, because you can run into somebody at a very inopportune moment, and that could lead to disaster for you. Many of you have probably experienced this. Worst of all is that once you get outside of your ship, you may get to a crash site and you say, oh, there's all kinds of cargo scattered everywhere. I should go and gather all this up, load it all up onto my ship, and then that'll just be added reward to this mission. That's a great idea, but the problem is while you're outside of your ship doing all that, someone could be sneaking up on you or just flying to that location, and you've got no one on your ship manning the radar to basically tell you someone is approaching. Get in the ship and run away. And I know that there are many of you who have made posts about this on Spectrum, who have talked about this, and it's just like that is your most vulnerable moment. You know that once you get out of your ship, the clock is ticking, but you don't know when it's going to run out. And so it creates a certain amount of tension, which can be fun, but in a universe, once again, where your character can die or you can lose your assets, it's not ideal. Now, in yesterday's video, when I talked about, well, if I knew that there was a Kraken around, then that might make me more apt to take whatever room I have on my account and invest in something like a Vulture, right? And the reason why I kind of think that way is, already got a big ship, already cool, handled, all that sort of thing. But certainly in the early levels, when you're trying to build up those reps, when you're trying to unlock those missions, trying to get those things that are, just for you, you want a ship that can do missions that's pretty damn quick. You want to be able to kind of grind those out very, very quickly. You want to get into a wreck site like this and maybe just grab the cargo and run, go hand it in if it works, and basically get the completion and start to build up that rep and hopefully trigger the event that gets you to that next level of mission. Now, let's say we get to that next level of mission, right? That's when we can bring out something like the Vulture, because now we're a little bit safer. A little bit. We're now doing content that is gated behind something. And we can use this opportunity. Let's say we're not coming in the Cutlass now, we're bringing the Vulture along. Now when we go down there, we've seen this wreck of the Freelancer before. There's a few size 3 guns that appear to be intact. there's the hull, there's possibly an engine that's still intact at this location. That's a fair amount of salvage. And if we bring a vulture, we can now scoop all that up, and we have a slight added level of security that maybe this beacon isn't available to everybody, and the further down that chain we go, the more likely it is that nobody else is seeing this mission generated. Now, multiple missions can still be generated at the same wreck site, so it's still possible, but the chances are still somewhat improved, and so that allows us to take a mission that maybe only rewards 600 credits or 400 credits or 1,000 credits and add to the income from that mission. It's why when we talk about, unlocking this added gated content, getting behind those closed doors, getting into that sort of, so to speak, VIP area, it increases the possibilities for income and return on these missions, or at least increases the possibility of safety while you're trying to increase your income and your return. Now, if you look at it from the point of view of, let's say, owning a reclaimer, which I do, obviously, if I've got a reclaimer, I can have other friends there with me. I can share the rewards from this mission. I can share the proceeds from whatever added things we pull out of this wreck. Obviously, the reclaimer can handle a freelancer wreck probably quite easily, and we could earn all that extra income. But then once again, it comes to that problem of, but the other people to help me run the reclaimer have to be there, have to be online, and have to be willing to do what I'm going to do, right? I can't buy a ship like that and then turn around and say, hey, by the way, everybody, let's all do my ship today. And whatever plans that you had when you logged on, forget them, because today it's about me. Today is my day, right? It doesn't really work that way. You have to factor these things in. Now, sure, an NPC crew might be able to fulfill a lot of these functions, but how good are they going to be? That remains kind of an open question. Oftentimes, when I see bigger ships like the Kraken, like the Javelin, like the Idris going out there, there's obviously players who are just like hardcore, I want that ship. That's the only ship that I've ever wanted to fly. Whatever the complications that go along with that ship are, I'm going to deal with them. When we were talking about the Kraken, we talked about some ideal situations where the Kraken could be really great, really useful. We focused on the positive side of the Kraken, really. And for someone who is driven, who is goal-oriented, who is very much, this is exactly what I want, this is what I'm going for, this is my dream come true, perfect, fine, great. But for a lot of players, you maybe don't really have a defined idea. And maybe one ship isn't really all that you want. Initially, it may seem like a great idea. But then over time, you start to think, shit, I wish I just had a ship that I could go off and do my own thing with. And that's why I always caution people. Whenever these ships come out, a lot of people start to experience this regret, oh my God, am I missing out? Is this the golden ticket and I'm totally missing out on it? I mean, is this the perfect opportunity to, get a ship that's going to allow me to make millions of credits every day and all kinds of great things are going to happen, and because I'm not buying it, I'm totally losing out on what I could possibly earn from this ship? Am I hampering my progress in the game? Am I going to be automatically weaker than everybody else? Not necessarily. You might find that chances are, day in and day out in the game, you may want to do different things on different days, and sometimes it's better to just have a few easy mode ships that you can fly yourself and do your own thing in, rather than having that one big dedicated thing. Certainly there are a lot of pluses to having that one big dedicated thing, but in general, day in and day out in practice, being able to dip your toes in, a few different professions and mess about and just kind of do your own thing whenever you want to do it on your own schedule, I find that that's generally, for me at least, the better way to go. Now, just as an example, this mission, it's broken. It doesn't work. And these missions, seemingly where you have to go and retrieve goods and then bring them to XYZ location, most of them appear to be broken right now currently in the game. Of course, pre-alpha, blah, 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 PTU. We know that these things are going to be like this. And while I was doing this mission, I was thinking, you know what, for a while now, I've been thinking about messing with a very particular Buccaneer setup to kind of get the Buccaneer, test out a different setup with the ship and see if that would work in practice, at least against NPCs, maybe against players as well. I wanted to try that out. The problem is that at the time when I first thought of it, certain things on the Buccaneer didn't seem to be working. But now with these missions not working, maybe the straight up combat missions, the legal mercenary missions, if you will, maybe those are working. And so maybe now I can try that shit out. And because I still have the Buccaneer, I have that flexibility to go dip my toe in that and try that out again. So I have options, right? Whereas if all I owned was like the Reclaimer right now, I'd be kind of screwed, because I'd be flying around just collecting footage of my Reclaimer or trying to do these missions where you got to go pick up one little box of loot and then deliver it someplace, and it's like, well, I can't deliver it here because Grimhex doesn't have a landing site. I got to EVA out, and it'd be all kinds of inconvenience. But because I got these other little ships, I have these easy chill zone ships I can fly by myself, and I can do my own thing, and I have variety, so I have lots of options available to me, right? And that's why I like the little ships. And I always say, you know, sometimes when you look at the big ship and you go, oh, I should just melt everything and get that, otherwise I'm missing out and I'm just being an idiot. Not necessarily. If you think about what you do in the game and how you play, you might be like, oh, I like to do this, and then I went and did that, and then I went and did the other thing, and that's generally what I like to do. I don't like to be pigeonholed in, and you know, when you see a really cool spaceship like that, it's easy to forget, you know, that thing when you're looking at this big shiny new spaceship. But having a few of the littler ships, I would say is overall, it's not the most profitable in game way probably to live, but I would say that it's probably the most enjoyable. Anyways, that's the show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.